Welcome to Fandom Post Radio. I am Kestrel, and we have DJ.
Hey!
And we have Brandon.
Howdy, howdy.
And that's it.
And we don't have a host.
I mean, Kate
Kestrel's a temporary host.
Kate occasionally says she's the host, but really all she does is introduces the podcast, and then we all just kind of take over, and when we need hosting duties, Kane just steps in anyway, so it doesn't really mean anything. That's why she downgraded herself to engineer.
Just demotes herself.
Yeah. But anyway, we are here, and we are the three who watched the most this season, and we are talking about the season that is basically wrapped up. Komi-san is not, because Netflix makes us wait 3 weeks for every episode. Or, 3-week delay from the Japanese broadcast. So that show is over.
Cries in Stone Ocean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least Stone Ocean, we're getting it at the same time as Japan. But yeah, the year wait between cores is a bummer. But hopefully it means the animators get to, live.
True.
But yeah, anyway, we're talking about the season that's wrapping up, and the only piece of news that I have since we recorded last week is directly relevant to the season, and a show I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot.
Is it the Kaguya-sama news?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's all I had to.
Yeah, so the show, the third season ended, ultra romantic, and they announced that there will be more. They didn't specify format, release date, anything like that, just there will be more anime. I'm sure we'll talk about what we think will be the future of Kaguya-sama. We all knew that there would be more because there's more manga. It's still running. But it is uncharacteristically climactic, conclusive finale in some ways.
Yeah, it was.
Very much so.
Which is great. So yeah, we'll talk about that, but exciting to have that confirmed anyway, because as we'll discuss, that show is fucking great.
Yeah, it's one of the best. I'm not afraid to say that.
Yeah,
top tier rom-com.
It's probably the best comedy anime.
Yeah, I can't compare anything to Gintama in terms of comedy, but I think romantic comedy, definitely no competition at all. And yeah, even for romances and comedies on their own, it's way up there.
Oh yeah.
It's not as good as Gintama or Clannad After Story at either of the things that those do individually, but romantic comedies, you don't get that many masterpieces, and this one, yeah, it's up there. Before we get into that, I guess we should read off Kane's brief thoughts on the 2 or 3 shows he watched.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We can, we can spread some of them in between our discussions if they're relevant
Sure,
ones.
Yeah. Yeah, if we think we'll hit all of those, then we can do that. So I guess if we're talking about Kaguya-sama, we want to just go right into that.
Start with our best foot forward, I guess.
Hell yeah. So for those of you who are not the 3 of us in our private Discord chat, it ranks number 1 on all of our lists. And 2 of us have it at an A+, and DJ has it as an A. So it's all right.
I give the last season an A+. I still think the last season was a little better than this one, but it was still really fucking good. So
yeah, I mean, I definitely would have only given it an A until the finale. And then I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, A+.
That was an A+ episode, definitely.
Yeah. Whew. God. Yeah, so I guess, mild spoiler warning. I guess I kind of already addressed the fact that, this is a romantic comedy, and it's built very specifically on the traditional anime romantic comedy trope of, you wait forever and you never get an answer about the main couple getting together until the end of the series, usually, if ever. And that's a very important component to Kaguya-sama because it's based entirely on the premise that neither of them can confess. And the end of this season changed the status quo way more than most of those shows are willing to do. So that's why it's kind of such a big deal, and it was executed brilliantly. But that's kind of why I'm like, was not really expecting that to happen. Even though like half the season hyped it up to happen, I didn't think they'd actually commit.
Yeah, me neither. I'm glad they did, though.
I'm so glad. It was so good. And,
if she got up to the roof and there was a fucking another misunderstanding up there,
exactly.
I was like, are we gonna have a Nozaki-kun moment? It's like, I didn't hear you over the fireworks. What was that? And
no.
Never to be seen again.
How are they gonna pull the rug underneath us? Just like always. But no, it's like manages to balance being everything that you want as a fan and also just building up that tension that makes that genre and those tropes work so well over the course of, the entire season, the entire 3 seasons, but especially that last hour. And then the catharsis is just mind-blowing. So, yeah.
I feel like not only was it like we said, you rarely see a full committal in a rom-com because it's like, oh, well, after the confession, it's like, what? They get married happily ever after, and then we end them in the anime or manga. But not only did they commit, but they really surprised me in that they took it in a direction where it's like, wow, they can actually keep this going and like completely change it. And like, I don't know, it was like so refreshing. And I was like, oh my goodness, this isn't the end. Because I had no idea where in the manga it was exactly. And I knew there was more manga left, but yeah, I don't know. I'm like so excited now to see where they go from here.
It's weird too, because like even though there was a resolution, it still feels like there is a lot more to go.
Right.
And I think the only other romantic comedy I felt that with was like Horimiya, which is like they get together fucking in the beginning of the manga, and then it's like, oh, okay, like I can see how this continues. And I think this is another one of those situations where it's like, okay, well, yeah, they got together, but like it's still kind of not close to the end. Well, I guess it could be close to the end. I have not followed the manga at all, but it's still publishing, so probably not.
Right, yeah. I think I looked up like where the chapter count was, and I think we still got a lot still,
Hell yeah, good. I want
still
more
out
of
there,
this
and
forever.
I mean, it's still running, yeah.
Please, just keep going.
And, yeah, I've preemptively titled season 4 Kaguya-sama After Story. But it's...
Oh no. If it gets fucking depressing, I swear to God.
I mean, if we go far enough into the Ishigami route.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does have a lot of really sincere emotion in it. But I just mean in terms of like a romance that's actually willing to acknowledge that life exists after the boy and girl say they like each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Which
that's
also,
almost unheard of in anime.
Right. Which like so I've been reviewing the show since season 1. And most of my season finale review for this season was just kind of like dissecting why we as romantic comedy anime fans are so broken and why we are masochists that love to just be put through this endless torture. And I think this series has managed to give us what is best about that, which is just that tension and making the catharsis feel so much more powerful. Like, it's such like everything that like if you describe what happens in this season finale compared to what happens in like virtually any other anime I'm watching, it's like that's the most boring thing in the world. Like even if that happened in real life, that's boring as hell. But it's because we've been sitting through this for, dozens of episodes, and it's been built up as like the most important, the biggest event, the holy grail, that it means so much to the characters and means so much to us because of how much it manages to get us invested in them.
That's exactly why I watch like every romantic comedy series that comes out. It's because I'm endlessly chasing after that catharsis and I just never get it. And when I do, though, it makes it all worth it. Like I'll trudge through another fucking 20 horrible rom-coms just for one good one. I want all of them to end up that way.
I just see DJ sitting on the Makoto Shinkai train, just longingly looking out at a romantic comedy in the distance.
That's really the perfect analogy for my life at this point.
I think too while the payoff was like amazing and everything we wanted and more, it's not like it blew its whole load either, because there's all these side characters and romances going on the side that they were very well balancing all the way till the finale. And now it's like, oh, well, yeah, we got like the big payoff we wanted, but also there's all this other stuff, like what's going to happen with Ishigami and Hayasaka, and there's still so much other stuff to like look forward to. It's so awesome.
And even beyond that, even with the main couple, like the genius thing about it is that they manage to, you know, subvert the trope and actually give us an answer, and then find a technicality within themselves to say, well, technically, we didn't actually like confess or say we're dating or anything. So now we still have that kind of dynamic to work through, even though obviously they're together.
Genius.
And the other characters don't know yet. So yeah, there's still so much more to develop with that. And, you know, the whole going to America, actually living a life together, potentially away from, you know, anyone else that they know, being separate from the rest of the cast. And then, yeah, that entire rest of the cast has been developed so much over the seasons that we care about them almost as much in some ways. Certainly not in these past couple episodes. But yeah, I care a lot about Ishigami and his romance. I care a lot about Chika and Hayasaka. So, and Miko. Yeah, it's like somehow by closing out the one thing that it kind of predicated its entire premise on and used as its backbone, by closing that out, it somehow managed to introduce like infinitely more possibilities than we've ever had in the series before, which has also managed to be less repetitive than most of, you know, that kind of genre. Because it always introduces, you know, last season had a lot of more emotional material and actual developments of, you know, new characters coming in. But this changes way more. And yeah, I'm so excited for what's to come.
Yeah, I think this is one of the rare shows where I like literally every character, like a lot. Like there's nobody who I'm just like, I wish you'd stop talking and just go back to the Kaguya part. No, it's like I actually care about every single subplot, and that was another thing that I think Horimiya did really well as well. It's you get the main couple, and then you get all the other stuff that sort of happens in the background that's not actually the background, and it's just it feels so alive and entertaining in every way.
I think the thing about the main premise too, you mentioned that like, oh, from the beginning, it's always been this love is war, whoever confesses loses. And it's like it's a funny premise to start off with. And, you know, with most comedy or rom-com anime, it's like, okay, you have like a shtick and you go for it for a while, but then, you know, it usually dries up at some point. It's like, well, it either fizzles out or like you get the payoff and it ends. But it was just so brilliant the way they flipped it being like a confessing is losing, and it's like, okay, but at what point does that like become just like a blockade or like a siphon to keep like drip feeding this? But the way they approached it and the way when we got to know the characters better and got to learn about their insecurities, it just like it totally changed what the whole concept of the non-confession war was.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think, you know, what you said about all the background characters, I think this show, I've probably called every character the best character in the show once during it, because it's like whoever is in the scene at the moment is the best character in the show. You can't imagine anyone being a better character. And then 5 minutes later, you get a completely different scene, and now a new best character is there, including the narrator, who is often the best character.
I feel like even though I could be wrong and I could be misremembering, but I feel like this season had probably the least Hayasaka time, but I think it was my favorite Hayasaka season overall.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
She was just fantastic every time she's on the screen. And the thing with her mom, that she just loves her mom so much. That was the cutest character trait I've ever seen in anything.
Yeah. I love that she just kind of like got to the point where she's like, you know what? I'm done putting up with Kaguya's bullshit. I'm going to start like pressing her on this, and just like, she just ripping into her the whole time was so good. and like becoming like a love interest rival just like spiced things up so much.
Yeah, I've always loved Kaguya as, maybe the funniest character with her deadpan comedy and her harshness and her different personalities that she puts on. But just the amount of like genuine Hayasaka moments that we had this season, which we've gotten in the past, but it seemed like almost half of her time there was like some little hint of something underneath that she just, wasn't quite able to suppress it anymore, which is, it makes her a lot more fleshed out and a real person instead of just a joke character.
All it took was the power of rap.
Yeah.
Speaking of the rap, just like the voice acting in the show from the beginning has just been like A1, just so good. And the range...
Is that because it's A1 picture?
I did do that on purpose, yes.
Nice.
But the range of like voice acting is just so crazy, from just like Kaguya's like high-pitched screams to her deadpan like serious mode to her flirty voice, and just it's all so good. And speaking of the rap, I think that was the funniest part for me this season, was the sea slug thing, and Shirogane just going like boy, 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 just destroying everyone in his vicinity.
Yeah, DJ and I were talking about how amazing Aoi Koga is right before you got on.
She's ridiculous. She's got like the best range of anyone.
Yeah.
But really the true funniest moment of the season is the 2 seconds in, I think it was the first episode, where they just talk about Kaguya's arm strength, and it flashes to the part of the season 2 opening where she has the bow.
Oh, yeah.
The funniest 2 seconds of anime I've ever seen.
I think this was easily the funniest show I watched this season too. And I mean there wasn't really that much crazy competition, but for some shows that were like very much comedy forward, I don't know, just everything about this show is hilarious as it is adorable.
Yeah, I mean, this season was a lot of comedies and lighthearted comedies and romantic comedies. So like, I'm surprised that I laughed more at this show than Spy Family. I'm not that surprised I laughed more at it than Komi-san. But I think it could have had some competition. But yeah, it managed to be like laugh out loud hilarious every episode. And then, occasionally extremely emotional, poignant, sometimes just like captivating, gripping with its tension, which again was, based on completely mundane things that were built up to be so important. And yeah, the finale, like the whole show is so well directed.
Yep,
but
exactly.
The whole final climax sequence on the clock tower, that was insane.
Shirogane is such a Chad. Like, how did he... the whole planning process, and he's like, but I gotta make sure like my boy's good too, and I gotta make sure this is good for everyone. I was like, and like it made everything that led up to that in the season so much better in retrospect too, because it was really leading up to this, it was building up, and it made it so much more earned, because it's like, you can spout out this whole light Yagami plan that this is how you plan it all out, but they placed all those as breadcrumbs leading up to this point. Like, oh yeah, that's why all of these people were just magically distracted by these various things at just the right moment. Yeah, it's great. And I kind of, I described this series when it first started in season 1 as like, romantic comedy Death Note. And that really came full circle with Shirogane's big reveal of this is everything that I planned out for this moment. Yeah, so satisfying. You mentioned how good the directing was, and like I said, I don't have a great frame of reference from how the manga is, but just the way that they do good like cutaway gags or like transitions and stuff is just so creative. It's just like so many like cool like camera pans and like just like even like background gags going on, and I don't know, like I said, if some of this stuff was in the manga, but just like the crazy references and things that they do that just and the just like deep cut references to things that happened earlier in the season or like 2 seasons ago. It's like, oh, by the way, these characters have been here the whole time. We just like never officially introduced them, but here they are. Oh.
Yeah, they have a lot of like Easter eggs leading up to characters' introductions for seasons at a time. And I think, I've read the first few volumes of the manga, and it's great. But yeah, this director and the whole team is definitely elevating it beyond its source material a lot. Which, I mean, I figured even before I read any of the manga, like, a lot of this, you gotta take some creativity because they're really using the medium really well. And that final episode was a great example of that, just how that was all shot and put together. But yeah, all of the comedy bits throughout, just the way that the timing hits, and the cuts in between scenes.
The fact that the timing hits is remarkable too, because this show is just so insanely fast. And it's like it's so fast, but it still gives you like a 2-second window to understand the comedy, and it's, I don't know, that's probably a shitty explanation, but I think it makes sense, and I'm so shocked by how well they're able to have a show at that breakneck speed still be able to deliver extremely poignant moments, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Whew. Just too much good stuff to say about this show. I don't know. I literally can't think of a weak point in this season, especially as well. Just like the pacing of like the importance of the cultural festival, and like even knowing that this big event is coming, they'll like drop like you didn't know, but like this is gonna be like the last cultural festival for these characters, or like it's like this reveal and that reveal, and it's just like it like kept you on the edge of your seat the whole time.
The whole time I was so ready to be like, this show fucking pulled the rug from under me. It, didn't give us the actual ending that it promised. It's just going to be another stupid misunderstanding. Everything's going to go back to status quo. Nothing's going to change. So, yeah. Now that all of that has been completely turned on its head, I can't think of a complaint at the moment. Like, Ishigami's story did end up not resolving because of misunderstandings, which is what I expected to happen with the main couple, which is like, all right, that's your romantic comedy trope. But like you said, it does just give us more to look forward to in that, and given what the cultural festival and the finale were really about, and how it delivered on that, I'm like, all right, I don't fucking care about Ishigami right now.
It would have felt too final if Ishigami also got everything that he wanted. Just like, okay, well, we don't really need any more if everything is being resolved right now.
No, it wouldn't be right if he was not down bad in some way by the end. But
it would just be completely overshadowed by the main couple too. So it's like, save that moment for when it can actually resonate.
For sure. Yeah,
and I do think it's cool that they don't need to force a romance on every main character, because like Chika just like isn't romantically involved with anyone, and they even showed that in the one of the last couple episodes. She's just like, not interested. I got a mystery to solve. Peace.
Yeah, she's in love with mystery.
Yeah,
that's the core romance of the show. Chika and mystery.
Yeah. Board game club are insane.
Can I give a quick shout out to the ending theme of the rap battle episode, which we didn't touch on, because that was amazing.
The animation on that.
Oh my god.
That was like this season's Chika dance.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, God. It's like the show just, everything goes right in the production, and everyone involved is clearly like, we have resources that we would not normally get for this kind of project, and we are going to make the most of it. And they're all just doing such a great job. It's so good to see.
All right. Do we have anything else on Kaguya-sama, or is the 20 minutes we just spent on it enough?
I suppose we can move on to something else.
Yeah. If we go on
let's
much
hit up
long...
one of Kane's.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so Kane watched, let's see, Spy Family, Aharen-san, and Birdie Wing. Anyone have any preference?
So I think we should do a big heel turn, go from the best to potentially the worst, because I am interested in this whole Birdie Wing thing, because I see that, DJ, you also put it at the very bottom of your list, and I think Kane dropped it. But I just thought it was interesting because at the beginning of the season, both of you seemed to have pretty high hopes that it would be a fun watch. So I just want to know what went wrong with that.
I don't know if our hopes were ever high after the show started airing. I think before it came out, we were like, yo, golf anime? That sounds rad. But then the first episode came out, and I'm like, this is fucking bad. And it never gets better. But for some reason, I still watched the entire thing. So you can read Kane's thoughts first, and I'll pick up after that.
All right, Kane's thoughts on Birdie Wing. Dropped after the end of the Mafia storyline or whatever. Just couldn't bring myself to care about the characters enough, although I enjoy over-the-top sports action type stuff. That can't be the only thing propping up a whole show. Plus, how can you escalate a story beyond that? At that point, the only thing she wanted to do was play the other main girl again at golf. Not exactly even in terms of tension or stakes.
I'll tell you how you elevate the material beyond the Mafia storyline. You have a tournament arc, which is what we are doing right now. And they just announced a fucking second season of Birdie Wing, which is a thing that I'm going to have to watch because it literally just ends out of nowhere. Like it's not a final episode by any means. It just stops in the middle of the tournament without any big thing happening. And I think that is a testament to just how shitty the show is because there's not really anything about it that is good. Well, besides the ending theme, which is a bop, but the opening theme is so horrible that it kind of ruins that. All in all, I wouldn't recommend this to anybody. It's just, it's so ridiculous, but it's not ridiculous in a good way. It might seem like it's trying to be ridiculous and over-exaggerated in a good way at first, but I don't think that that's what it was going for. I think that is actually what the show is, and I think it takes itself seriously, which it shouldn't, because it is very, very bad and just pure silly, and all of the characters are completely forgettable, and just they are the manifestations of a single quirk or personality trait that you just hand a golf club to and you say go, and it's just it's cringy and not fun. And I don't know why I kept watching it.
Sounds like it was a bit tone deaf.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. I feel like they just made an entire anime out of an idea and didn't have anything to actually do in it. So they were like, what happens next? Golf. And then that's all that happens. And so they're just like, well, what if the golf got slightly crazier and you had a golf mafia, and it's just shit like that. And so it becomes this weird shonen battle anime, but the most boring shonen battle anime of all time, where every single golfer has their one thing, but they show it for one hole that lasts 2 minutes, and then that character is just gone. And the main girl's superpower is just that she hits the ball really hard. That's her thing. And everybody's like, oh my God, she hits the ball so hard that I no longer am good at golf anymore. And that's just how she wins every single hole. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's amazing that it's got such a bad season finale, because normally you'd think, oh well, they just didn't have a good point in the manga to end the one core at, but it's not based on anything. It's an original, so they could have planned it out perfectly to have a really good ending and still build up for a second season or whatever.
If I didn't look online that it was the last episode, I'd have no idea, because there's not even an announcement at the end of the episode, no end card or no see you in the next part. It's just over any other episode, and then Crunchyroll posted a thing. It's Birdie Wing season 2 gonna happen, and I'm just shocked as to why it would happen, because I don't think anybody really enjoys it. Like, there are people watching it, but I think it takes a special type of person to look at this show and think, yes, this is a quality piece of animation, when everything in it has been done better before. I've not seen any other golf anime, but I can tell you that there are better ones, because this is just not it. It is the one silver lining, though, is that we finally, in the last episode of it like kind of got Yuri. So maybe season 2 will be really good if that happens.
Really good or really pandering to you personally?
Really pandering to me personally, which is really good in my book.
I mean, sounds like it can only go up from there if that's the case.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, if they announced the second season at the end of the first season, then I assume it was already, underway, and they just didn't realize that people were going to hate it or not watch it, which is a bummer, but that seems like it's probably what happened, because, they had to already kind of have it in process if they have an announcement.
has there ever been anything where they like announce a new season and then they like unannounce it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Flowers of Evil had an entire preview for the second season at the end of the final episode of season 1, and it just never came out. Which is rough, because I read that manga and like it stops at a decent point, but like there's shit that happens after that that's really important to the story, and we never got it.
Yikes.
That was a weirdly received show, though. Like, I remember after the first episode of that came out, because I don't even know if there was a trailer for it beforehand, and no one knew it was going to be like entirely rotoscoped. And the first episode came out, and I remember it having like a 3-point something on Mal, and it did not have good scores. But by the end of the series, they had bumped up to the 7s, I think. And I really like that anime. And I think that the weird rotoscope animation made it enjoyable in a sense, because it made you uncomfortable, and the entire point of the show is to make you uncomfortable. And I know that this isn't a thing that aired this season, so I shouldn't be spending a lot of time on it. But yeah, that's the only example I can think of where there was a preview for a second season that just didn't happen.
Did they ever like officially announce another season, or it just ended with like a preview of what's to come?
I can't remember, and it was a while ago now, but I remember being under the impression that like there was definitely going to be more because of the way the episode ended. So I don't know if there was a formal announcement, but in my head, that was good enough to be a formal announcement.
Yeah, I guess, usually you don't, like, if something's planned to actually have more, then they'll actually announce it. With that, they probably just like, put it there as a teaser for, please buy the Blu-rays, which people did not.
No, not
so
at all.
So that we can make more. Or, just buy a bunch of the manga so that we can make more, because that's also a chief concern of anime adaptations of manga.
It was just weird, because it wasn't like a one scene preview. It was like an entire montage of like 20 different things that happen in what I assumed would be the second season, and then it just cuts to black, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, more, and you don't get more.
Yeah, I'm sure the staff wanted to make more. It's like, for like a recent example with Dune, the staff didn't have the go-ahead to make a sequel until after the first movie came out, but it was still called Dune Part 1. So, some of that can just be the creative team being like, all right, we're going to put in a bunch of previews, get people really hyped up so that they're really motivated to, support us and get us a second season greenlit. But that was not in the cards for that show.
Rip.
People had a campaign in Japan where they placed a bunch of pre-orders for the Blu-ray box on Amazon Japan, so that they would have to make a bunch of them, and then they'd all cancel before the release.
I don't get why they
wasted a bunch of money.
Mean.
It's just mean spirited. That
is actually
it wasn't
evil.
even bad. It was a good show.
Yeah, that's
But you know what wasn't? Birdie Wing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
and we're back to that.
But yeah, in terms of shows where it's like, I think like Birdie Wing season 2, does that have a release date even? I feel like it does.
I don't think so. I just remember Crunchyroll being like, Birdie Wing season 2, and then posted like a promo picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just commented, why?
So if it's got that confirmed, and especially if it's got a release date and promo art and everything, by the time the first season wraps up, then yeah, it was almost certainly in the works, and they just didn't know that it might be poorly received at the time.
Yeah, I would hope that it was in the works, because it's weird to just end in the middle of a tournament arc.
Right.
It's just like we beat like a nobody, and then that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, weird. Glad I did not bother checking it out at all.
Yeah, good call.
Save.
All right. What do we want to talk about next?
Let's see.
I would like you guys to talk. I don't know. Let me look at Brandon's list. I don't know if he watched it or not. He did. Okay, cool. I want you guys to talk about Kong Ming, because I tried to watch this and then I forgot that I don't have High Dive anymore, so I couldn't watch it. And I was like, I could. High Dive's only $5 a month, so I was like, you know what? I could, or I could just not watch it and save the time. And I regret that that's the decision that I made, because it definitely. The more I saw of it, the more it seemed like a thing that I would enjoy. And they even fucking do a cover of a D4 DJ song for an ending theme. And I don't know if it's just like a one-off thing. But that's a cool thing. And that's pandering to me. And the girl wears a hat. And it's just, there are a lot of things that I like. And I want to know if it really is something that I would like. And based on your scores, it looks like it would be. But please tell me, educate me.
Well, you're saying D4 DJ is literally for DJ.
Yeah. Yes. It really is.
Nice.
To be fair, I still had access to the Fandom Post High Dive account because I had just reviewed Lupin Part 6. So that was the only reason I was able to watch it, but I am glad I was able to do so, because it was a fun ride. I feel like I've always been particular to musically inclined shows like Kids on the Slope and Carol and Tuesday. Those are both Watanabe shows, but I mean, the man's a music legend. But no, it was really fun because I feel like it highlighted a lot of stuff that I wouldn't expect to really be highlighted in anime, just like modern club scene and like what going to a festival is like, and like the recording process of stuff. So it was like partially, I wouldn't say educational, but like it's cool getting like that deeper glimpse of the like music creator process, especially in the era of like social media and stuff. But with the twist of an ancient Chinese strategist being your manager and using strategies he used to like take down great empires, but to get more social media likes, or like get people to come to your stage instead of the competing stage. So I thought it was just like very entertaining for its individuality, and both the OP and ED are slappers, so highly recommend at least listening to those.
Yeah, I'm looking this up now. It is the regular ending, and it was in D4 DJ, and it was also a cover in that. So apparently it's been all around. But I had no idea. But yeah, I agree with all that. Especially, learning about the Japanese club scene and EDM scene and all that. Because I've really never seen anything about that in anime or in anything that I've seen.
That's all D4 DJ's about.
Oh, okay. Nice.
The specifically the like rap battle part I thought was interesting, because I mean that type of rap style is very popular in Japan, but to be able to see the actual format that they do in real life, because they had the MC for the rap battles was an actual MC for rap battles, and they like just made him into a character for the show, and I thought that was really neat.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. There were a lot of episodes this season or in the show about rap battles. But the one with like the primary rap battle was the day before the Kaguya-sama episode, all about rap battles as well.
Yeah, and there was a rap battle in Aharen that week or the week before as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just big rap week. But shouts out to the translators, because I could not imagine not only having to like literally translate, but also like taking the wordplay into account and making it readable for an English audience. I cannot imagine how much work that took.
That's how I felt about the entire Hypnosis Mic anime, because the entire thing was rap battles, and it's absurd that people were tasked with translating and making that readable.
Odd Taxi has a character who speaks entirely in raps as well, and the translator made sure that all of his lines rhymed. But yeah, I saw the translator for Komi, Jake Young, tweeting about how it was like the most difficult thing he's ever done in his life.
Yeah, big props.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree, DJ, you would like it. And you knew the singer for Eiko already, apparently?
Yeah, it's 96 Neko, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does the opening. She's a new Taite, so she does a lot of covers of Vocaloid songs and stuff, and she's been around for a long time, and I think her first anime song was she did the opening to Scum's Wish. Yeah. And so I have known about her for a while, and I had no idea that she was the singing voice for Eiko. Or Eiko. Nice. Is it Eiko or Eiko?
It's Eiko.
Eiko, okay.
Yeah. She killed it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you've got to have a good voice, because that's kind of the whole premise, is that Komi is just so blown away by her voice and is inspired to make her his new master.
That was another fun fact I found out, was when Komi participates in one of the rap battles, people were posting that the voice actor actually is in like a Vocaloid group of some sorts, or like he participates in as like a rapper in some of their songs, and I was like, oh, that's super cool, because he was a lyrical genius during that rap battle, and it was it shows his chops really well.
Yeah. Yeah, now I'm looking up if Nanami's singing voice has done anything else. I don't see anything. But yeah, it's a super fun show.
That series it's done, right? It's not a 2-core one, because I know PA Works likes to do that a lot. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably buy the Blu-ray when it comes out, because it certainly seems like a thing that I would enjoy, like the more I looked into it.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Hopefully it comes in one of those Sentai Collector's Edition with like a baseball cap.
Ooh,
I'm down.
Be cool. Or if it came with like like a CD and some other extras like that, would be really cool.
Pair of headphones.
Ooh.
Sentai loves their gimmick items.
Komi's fan or something, yeah.
Oh, Komi's fan, yeah.
That would be sick.
Or his ridiculous sunglasses. One of his pairs of ridiculous sunglasses.
Yes. I do love about the show that like they didn't focus too hard on the whole like isekai premise thing. It's like he gets dropped in to Tokyo one day, and he's like, oh, I must be in hell, because there's just a bunch of people. It was like Halloween, and he's like, all these people dressed up. It's like, whatever. And then he realizes, oh no, wait, I'm just in the modern world, I guess, and I've been given a second chance. All right, I'm just gonna do what I did best then, but
just cool with it.
New. Yeah, exactly. They just roll with
the punches.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I feel like he adapts better than any isekai protagonist I've ever seen, because it's just this super old-timey tactician from, Three Kingdoms era China, and he just gets dropped in this world, and he becomes like the social media master, and like he goes around to all the club scenes, and like everyone loves Komi. Like, yo, Komi! Like, Eiko's been in this scene her entire life, and she doesn't even know this many people.
Yeah, Three Kingdom buffs, definitely check this show out, because there are literally several characters that are also super into Three Kingdoms, and it's funny because they just kind of accept that he's Komi, and like you don't know if they literally do or not, but they at that point they're like, that's who he is, and he knows his character well, I guess.
Right. Yeah, there's a few times where the owner, like, you see him thinking that this guy is just a big fan who cosplays all the time, and then starts to wonder, is it really him?
Yeah, and then they just call him Komi because they're like, well, that's who he is. So
Yeah.
I guess.
And then, most of this scene in modern day Shibuya, the people are just like, yeah, it's that dude who dresses up like he's in old-timey China and speaks like he's really formal. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone loves him.
I will say, I thought the music in the show was really good, but I did wish that there was a little more diversity in the songs that they made for the show. There were like one or two songs that were like Eiko's big songs that she was working on the whole time, and there was a good stretch of like 5 or 6 episodes where she's just practicing that one song and getting better at it, and it's cool to see her style change as she really gets the idea for the song and her inspirations for it. But I don't know, I guess I would have liked a few more tracks that can land on like an OST or something.
Yeah, for sure.
And if they could have implemented the I forget his name, but the rap character, they really built it up that he was going to be like a main act along with Eiko for the finale, and it was more like, all right, we brought him here to like diss the opposing band and get them riled up.
Diss
and
the
now,
audience.
Yeah, and be like, hey, yo, you guys, they're posers, and y'all are posers for liking them. All right, here's Eiko.
Right. Yeah, he basically just turned into a hype man.
Yeah, which I guess is fine.
But yeah, I agree with how much he was built up. I was expecting like some big collaboration, which would have been really cool. Because they could have made that work, but no, it's just... And I didn't think her final song was that great either. It was, I guess, too ballady. And they did do the same song, that cover of, the artist that her and Nanami both love, that same song over and over, so... It was a bit much, but yeah, it definitely allowed them to show how she grew and changed over time. And yeah, Kabe Taijin had some good rap moments, but I was hoping for more integration with the other type of music in the finale.
Yeah.
Oh, also there's a Steve Aoki character in the show.
Yeah.
What, really?
Yeah, they literally just they show that picture of when Steve Aoki like throws the cakes or the pies into the crowd or whatever. They're like, oh yeah, this is very clearly him, but they call him Kid. Kito.
Yeah, Steve Kido. Yeah, they just literally traced over that photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting blend of elements that I was not expecting to exist, to like, or to be nearly as good as it was.
That's why I didn't watch it, because I'm like, this is too fucking all over the place.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of been the MO for PA Works as of late. I really haven't gotten super into one of their shows since the one where they like ran a summer camp. I forgot what that one was called, but
ran a summer camp.
Yeah, or like
I
they
should
were like
know this because
they were like
my favorite, but
they were like a tourist Sakura Quest.
Oh, Sakura Quest? They weren't running a summer camp. It was a girl who was looking for a job, and she got accidentally hired as the queen of a town, and then was just part of the town revitalization community. It wasn't a summer camp.
Sorry, it's been a while.
I fucking love that show.
It was a good show. What I'm trying to say is that like since then, I personally felt their track record has been kind of all over the place. There was that show that was like vampires and werewolves that was like pretty bad, and
that's right, they did that show.
Yeah,
it's like PA Works. So many of their shows are the same thing that I'm always surprised when one of them is different. Like it took me like several episodes to realize this show was PA Works, and I just forget about all these other shows.
I noticed them immediately because of the art style. They are the best at cute girls.
That's true.
But yeah, there are a lot of shows that are just about a series of cute girls working in a specific environment, which are my favorite. That is my favorite genre of anime.
It sells, so I get it. Speaking of, I need to watch the Shirobako movie still. I have not done that.
Yeah, I have to watch that.
Yeah. I think they are now dubbing it after having released it sub-only on Blu-ray originally. So we'll see where that goes.
Nice.
But yeah, I like seeing PA Works branch out and do different things. Because, they have a high standard of quality most of the time. So good to see.
It looks like Komi is their second highest rated work on Mal. The first being Makia, and Shirobako being 0.02 decimal places or 0.02 points underneath Komi.
Really? Under Komi? Interesting. I guess recency bias. Exactly. Yeah. Well, definitely worth checking out, though. Your boy Komi. Good show.
Yeah. All right, what next?
I chose the last one, so one of you guys has to choose now. That's the rule.
Well, you chose something for us to talk about. Now, I want to choose something for you to talk about. I would say between your 2 to 4 pick, which one do you want to talk about the most?
My 2 to 4 pick. I'll talk about Kaguya-sama because I watched the last episode today. And I want to say, and I think I said this in one of the last episodes, but season 2 is so much better than the first season. They finally introduced all the Angel Beats characters, so the entire season essentially revolved around Yuripe just fucking being herself and trying to take over the school. And it was like just really good. And Kaginato's always been super self-aware and doesn't mind poking fun at a lot of the serious parts of Ki. And so just that contrast in itself is fantastic. But there was a part of the last episode today, and I guess it's kind of a spoiler, but it's also Kaginata, so it's not really a spoiler. But there's a part of the last episode where like the art style kind of goes back to normal. And it's just like Ushio in the planetarium with planetarian girl whose name escapes me. And then Nagisa and Tomoya show up and they just like pick her up. And it was just like this really heartwarming moment that I was like, oh, it's still Ki at its heart. Like it still can do the really heartwarming moments. And for like a good 2 minutes, the show just broke out of comedy and went back to normal. And it made me smile and remember why I like the studio so much. Other than that, though, there's not really much more to talk about in terms of Kaginata because with 13 episodes, it was like a total of, I don't know, like 40 minutes of material. And it was 40 minutes of fun material, but it's still 40 minutes of material regardless. And most of it is you can just throw out. Oh, and it's not done either. I don't even know if the second season is done because it like makes it seem like it's done, but then it says "see you soon?" ? And it's not marked as complete on my anime list, so I don't know what the future of Kaginata holds. But I'll definitely watch more. And I definitely want them to start incorporating more characters outside of the, I guess, older Ki works, because like we don't have Summer Pockets yet, which hasn't gotten its anime yet, and we don't have what was the other one? Oh, Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte's not in there. And
Charlotte.
Yeah, that's a show that exists. But I think that this show would be good for the Charlotte characters because they are exaggerated, as Ki typically does, and I want to see more of the Ki universe kind of merge together. But yeah, Kaginata season 2 definitely worth a watch if you watched the first season. It's really funny in a lot of subtle ways. One more thing, and this is a major spoiler for Little Busters, but there's part of one episode where just everybody's on a bus, and every time the bus turns, all of the Little Busters characters like jump, and it's not like they don't draw attention to it or anything. It's just like a subtle background thing that's hilarious if you know the source material.
Damn.
It looks like it is marked as being done.
Oh, it wasn't earlier today. So cool. I did watch it like as soon as it came out.
I was gonna say you like saw it drop and you're like, bam. They didn't even have the subtitles ready. You're right like,
away. Go. All right. Well, yeah, we'll probably get more maybe next year or something. I don't know when the Summer Pockets anime is going to happen, but it will. Oh, yeah. And I'm very excited for it because I feel like that has the potential to be one of the well-adapted visual novels.
We're getting a new key show this next season, aren't we?
Are we?
Yeah.
Let me look up my thing.
Prima Doll.
Oh, yeah. That is key.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Cool.
Yeah, hopefully it's not garbage like
Yeah, hopefully not.
the last several.
Yeah, they've been striking out.
Is that a pun because all of their works have baseball?
It wasn't supposed to be, but yes.
Kestrel's got the puns on lock, ready for them at any moment.
Yeah, speaking of bad key shows and bad PA work shows, I fucking hated The Day I Became God. Anyway, go on.
You know, I don't hate it. I think that it did a lot of good things, but I feel like, and I felt the same way about Charlotte, like half of it just didn't need to exist.
The second half, right?
It's just, I don't know, Jun Maeda's trying to do too much or something. It's like, you can clearly see, like, there is a shell of a really good idea here, and just it wasn't filled in properly. Like, I think the last show had a lot of really dramatic moments that got to me, and I liked the characters a lot, and I think the Mahjong episode was fucking hilarious. But then there was an entire like weird subplot with like the one guy who was like good at technology that I just didn't understand at all, and it was weird.
Yep.
It's too much for 13 episodes.
Yeah, that's what tends to happen. Like,
Yep.
he's used to writing 40-hour visual novels, 50,
Yep.
60, 70-hour visual novels.
It like gets to episode 12 and he's like, wait, I only have one more.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard something about how he was really upset by the reception of that show. Because it was like apparently a story he like cared a lot about, and then everybody was like, "You suck." He's just like, "Oh."
That's not
Maybe
surprising.
should have cared a little more. So I'm both of you watched Komi season 2. I would have, but I just didn't get around to it. I barely caught up on the first season, like months after it ended, so I did not get to partake in that yet. But I think I'm far enough in the manga that it would have covered most of season 2. So I guess I wanted to hear what y'all think about it compared to the first one, and if you think the whole shtick of it is getting stale, or what, what's the general consensus?
Oh yeah, it's getting stale. But it's still fun and entertaining. I'm just at the point now where I'm watching for like two characters, well, a third one, because I really like Yo-Yo Girl, who just showed up. But Yamai is fucking amazing, and I love her. And Onamine is just everybody's big sister, and like those two are the reason that I'm still watching the show, just because I like those characters so much. But as a show, it doesn't really do anything anymore.
I think it's funny that you mentioned Yamai. I feel like I like that you mentioned that, because every episode thread that I read about the show, that's the character that most people were like, I just need her to never be on the screen, and the show will be better.
They're wrong.
No. Oh, let's stop right there. All right. If Yamai was male, then DJ would be saying this character fucking ruins this show.
If Yamai was male, she would be Mineta. So yes.
Exactly. Yeah. She's just girl Mineta.
Yeah, and she's cute, and it makes it okay.
Oh my god.
She's better than Mineta though, because she doubles down on it. She really is just the most vulgar person.
She straight up kidnaps Tadano.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yamai is just a predator. There's nothing good about her.
She's cute. That's good.
Oh my god.
I can't remember what anime it was in, but there's one anime Where, I think it was a Sing Yesterday for me, where the fucking dude behind the counter at the convenience store, who's not the protagonist, just says cute girls are allowed to do whatever they want, and that has become my motto ever since that has happened, because it's true, they really are, and I will still love them.
I literally watched an episode of Komi-san this season and said to myself, I swear to fucking God, if DJ likes Yamai.
I will. She's so blatantly creepy and obsessive and so lesbian, and I love it.
Yeah, being a lesbian does not give you the right to be a predator.
No, but like it makes for fun comedy.
She's just Mineta.
No. She doesn't have grape hair.
I think the character that I liked the most out of like the more newer introduced side characters was Katai, the like big gruff looking dude that everyone thinks
fun.
is scary.
Yeah,
he was definitely one of the ones I always liked.
I like the narcissist
highlighted.
dude more than Katai though, because he's fucking
he's great too.
Anime protagonist.
right.
Did they get to the point in season 2 where they introduced Rumiko, the like Gyaru character?
No.
Okay. Well,
but I like
then
those,
never
so
mind.
I'm looking forward to that. Now we got Yo-Yo Girl, and I like Yo-Yo Girl a lot.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a fun arc. It was kind of, I didn't know how I felt about it going into like a fucking like a vacation arc with just 2 random characters that we've never seen before, because that's normally like you use the school trip to like strengthen relationships that already exist, and this was the first time I saw a show do the opposite, and I think it worked really well. It was a fun episode.
I also like the dynamic between the sibling characters with Komi's younger brother and Tadano's sister. I feel like it was an interesting, like, it's almost the same dynamic, but it's kind of flipped in a way. But I thought those 2 were cute, so I hope they get a little bit more screen time at some point. But
yeah, I'm glad we were introduced to a few new characters. The narcissist and the school trip characters, because before that and without the school trip and everything, this season did feel like it was just kind of treading water, just kind of giving us the same stuff we had already seen with the characters we already knew, just kind of using their established tropes to have jokes, and I guess Katai at the beginning of the season. So yeah, I'm glad I mixed it up a little bit, but it is not so fresh. It's definitely no Kaguya-sama.
Oh yeah, not at all, not even close. But it's still a show that I'm not really like concerned about dropping, because it's entertaining enough for me to like watch it and want to watch it. But does it do anything remarkable? No, it's just good.
Yeah. I guess I just think back to that first episode and think of how much more it could be.
Oh man,
24 episodes in.
After that episode, and I talked about that, I was like, this is gonna be fucking the shit. And it's just all been downhill from there, because that first episode was so good.
Yeah, that was quite a high bar they set. I was like, wow, they're going to take this adaptation, and this is going to be like the next Nichijou. They're just going to like go balls to the wall.
Oh, God, that chalkboard scene. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just having that balance of comedy and poignancy, and being able to execute both that well is something that, shows can do really well and become really great for. And this one had the opportunity to, but it's just been so heavily relying on kind of the same gags over and over. But it's fun. I like it.
Yeah.
DJ didn't talk about the fact that it apparently looks like shit now. I didn't watch today's episode.
Yeah. So Kestrel hasn't seen the latest episode, and I think it's episode 11. But yeah, the one that came out today looked fucking bad. It was just like noticeably not animated by the same people, and it seemed, it's hard to describe, because like it still looks like Komi-san. It just looks like a really watered down, shittier Komi-san with very minimal motion. It's just a lot of the characters looked off. Like the proportions of their faces were inconsistent and different just between every single shot, and it was just like almost changing art styles in certain other shots. And it was, I know Komi-san likes to do that, and they do like the exaggerated like chibi-ish characters sometimes, especially with Komi, but this is like a completely different thing. And it doesn't look good. I want it to go back to looking normal.
Speaking on the character designs, just like as a whole for the show, I feel like one thing I've had a hard time coming to grips with is that Komi's character design is just like at a uncanny valley level of like, I'm not sure if I like it or not, because I really like her character design in the manga, but there's just something about how it looks in the anime that doesn't come off how I think it's supposed to. But like all the like chibi like cattier Komi faces, they all look perfect and they're hilarious and cute, but like I don't know, there's something about her standard character design that's just like a little,
her face is too tiny. That's what it is. It's like just all of her features, she is just like 2% of her face like dedicated to her features, and then all of the rest is just skin, and then her hair is too big.
Yeah, that's a big one too, is that if they kept the like consistency of that first episode, that's one of the things. It's her hair is just like this big, it doesn't look like hair. It's I don't know, it's kind of
like
weird.
A weird hat.
Yeah.
I still don't get fucking Tadano's flower thing.
I just always thought it was supposed to be like his colic, but they literally
there's no
like
way that's a cowlick. It's
that's the
just
thing, they
a
reference
flower
it.
in
They're
his
like
hair.
They're like, what is that? It's like, oh, it's just it's part of me. I don't know. It's just weird.
Part of his character design.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that Komi's normal design, it definitely seems off for her, being this apparent gorgeous supermodel of their world. And I mean, I guess the really small face in a big head thing is kind of Katai's character design too.
Yep.
But it's kind of supposed to be a joke with him, and with her it just looks weird. And her big hair hat thing too just doesn't look good. And I don't know, I just feel like it's like weirdly angular in some ways.
Yep. It's just everything about her is wrong.
Yeah, which is weird because you're supposed to think that she's so gorgeous. And I do love that at this point in the series, she's almost always in chibi mode.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah, it's really great because, you're right. She always looks great in that. It's always hilarious.
Yeah.
And then, she breaks out of it for like one shot when they have to talk about how beautiful she is.
It's like, oh, you look like that.
But then she kind of looks weird.
Honestly, they should just make season 3 like Kaginato chibi style. To cut the episodes down to 5 to 10 minutes, and I think we got a working formula.
Before I forget, this is Komi-san season 2 is probably a top 5 all-time ending theme for me. I've
heard
good
stuff about it.
I love the art too.
Yeah, I really love the like rotoscoped style of it.
8-bit rotoscope. It's weird. I love it.
8-bit rotoscope, exactly. Yeah, and just the attention to detail in the character acting to make every single character so well realized at every point in the shot, at every moment.
Yep, I watch a different character every single episode.
Yep, exactly. So much going on.
All right.
What do we got next?
Whose turn is it to pick?
Kestrel, you want to make a...
Let's read another one of Kane's.
Yeah, sure.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well talk about Spy Family before we run out of time. We're doing good. We're only an hour in. So for Spy Family, Kane says, still a lot of fun. Enjoy the family dynamic. I hope Lloyd makes overtime pay in future seasons. I hope the pace picks up a little bit as the slowness near the end of this season bordered on stagnant in terms of Operation Strix and such.
I think that's fair. It definitely, the show is not afraid to just kind of like slow it down, and I thought it was interesting that they chose the final episode to be one of the end volume extra chapters, but personally I don't mind the pacing just because I think the adaptation so far has just like more fully realized already a great source material, and specifically the episodes with the castle and the dodgeball game were just great examples of the production team just showing love for the series and taking the care to like just go all out with it and like make it even better than it already was. So I don't know. I think Spy Family has done everything that its adaptation needed to be so far, and I've been loving it.
I agree. Yeah, it is. Like, I've always loved the manga, but this adaptation is elevating it way beyond that at every turn. It's great direction, great animation, great music, great voice acting. So good. And yeah, it's speaking of, season finales that you would not think were a season finale unless you looked it up.
Yeah.
This one was pretty anticlimactic.
That's true.
I haven't watched the last episode yet.
It was fun.
I will say I'm glad that Anya became the cultural icon I knew she was destined to be, because I see her everywhere on Twitter and Instagram and stuff. So like, she definitely hit all the marks, and the voice actress is amazing with her. So
she is a walking meme. It is fantastic.
For real. She should really just get her own spin-off at some point.
I mean, she kind of like
national treasure.
Yeah, I like Spy Family. I don't like it nearly as much as most people do, I think. I still enjoy it though. Like, there's not really anything I dislike about it. It's just there's not really anything I love about it either. It's just a fun show that's really well made, and Anya is the best.
Here's what would take it from a B to an A for DJ if Siscon's sibling was a sister instead of a brother. I think that's the key we need to unlock the full potential.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
I mean, he is like my least favorite part of the show, but I thought he was at least less cringy in the anime because of the over-the-topness and
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Him just like pounding wine and be like thinking of all the bad things that could be happening. I loved it.
I also love any excuse to listen to Saudi Hayami. So,
right.
That's true.
Yeah, I can't wait for Anime Expo this weekend when every single cosplayer is Yor.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, yeah, all of them. Like walking around. If they have a kid, the kid is Anya.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hope we get full, Spy Family families out there. I'm definitely going to see lots of cosplay pictures.
Just kind of visually, I can kind of see them as grown-up Kaguya and Shirogane.
Yeah?
I can see it too.
I've seen plenty of fan art that confirms that.
Makes sense.
Yes.
That makes sense.
I also like the fact that, for the most part, obviously there are going to be piles and piles of Rule 34 Yor. I am glad for the most part all of the fan art I've seen online has been very wholesome and like
just not like, me.
Well,
I have a different community.
That's true.
That's for sure.
That's fair. But for the most part, lots of it very wholesome Yor and Lloyd vibes. But yeah. There's plenty of room for the debauchery stuff, too.
Certainly the girl of the season. There's been a distinct girl of every season this year so far. Oh, wait, we're only on the second season, right? I thought we were on the third for a second. All right, well, it's not Marin, so...
Ooh.
Well, this season isn't Marin.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say just... for Spy Family's sake, that it's not one of those shows where you have to be like, oh, don't worry, by the second season it's going to be like the stakes are going to be higher, there's going to be craziness. I feel like it's just a very consistent read, and it's really good at balancing its comedy and its wholesome family moments, and the as much as Kane was wishing for a little bit more Operation Strict stuff, it does start to become a little bit more pertinent to the story. So I don't think there's anything to worry about with the second core coming in the fall. I think it'll be more of the same, which perfectly fine in my opinion.
Yeah, like there's definitely some arcs that are more substantial as the series goes on. But, it's just as fun to watch Anya just be a treasure in class. So whatever we get, it's good. And the pacing has been really good so far as well.
Yeah.
All right. Is that all we want to say about that show?
Yeah, I think so. Good show. Watch Spy Family.
Yeah. And yeah, it's coming back in 3 months, so not too long to wait. What's next?
Kes, can you real quickly talk about Blue Lock? Because that was a show that I was planning to watch at the beginning of the season, and for some reason I just didn't, and I really had no inclination to pick it up at any point, and I really heard nobody talking about it either, so it just kind of like flew under the radar for me, so I wasn't even sure if it was worth a watch.
I assume you're talking about Aoashi?
Yeah. Is that Blue Lock or
No,
the soccer
Blue
one?
Lock is an anime also about soccer that starts in October.
Oh. Well, there you go. That's why I didn't watch it, I guess.
But Ao does mean blue, so I can see
Yeah.
between those various factors where you were going.
Is this the soccer
Aoashi.
one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a good sports show. It is nothing special, but it's a Production IG sports show, which are always pretty high quality. It's got good music, good animation, obviously from IG, and the premise is pretty straightforward, pretty standard shonen sports stuff. I guess technically it was in a seinen manga, but I don't know. It feels like any shonen sports manga to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's basically just this kid who's really good at playing soccer, but never really had any formal training, and is from a small town where he's the big fish, and the rest of his team just kind of existed to support him. And then he gets kind of recruited by this big trainer from Tokyo who takes him into this youth league, and then he's got to kind of learn how to actually work with a team, and not just be a solo guy who he thinks is the king that everyone should be supporting. So very standard sports anime tropes, but it's pretty good. And obviously he's actually a genius and just doesn't realize it, and everyone around him is like, whoa, he's actually a genius, but he's got to learn the fundamentals of soccer and how to work as a team, and then he can become one of the greatest players, whatever.
Would you say it leans more on the superpower sports side or the real sports side?
It's definitely more real sports, but he kind of has a superpower in that he can just visualize. He has a perfect memory of where everyone is at all times, and now they're getting to the point where he can kind of foresee where everyone is going to go. So it's getting a little more superpowery, but for the most part, it's pretty grounded, just sports. He just kind of has insane intuition.
It reminded me, and I haven't watched it, but looking at it, and obviously Production IG is a big part of it, but it seemed like another version of Run with the Wind. Is it? I'm assuming it's nowhere near as good as that, based on what you've said.
Yeah, definitely not as good. Definitely more generic.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think anyone on this podcast has watched any of Ace of Diamond, which is extremely long. Yeah. But it's pretty similar to that. It's got kind of Haikyuu vibes, and kind of the second main character of Haikyuu, Kaguya-sama. Some similar elements to his character. Yeah, I'd say Ace of Diamond's probably the closest, but it just uses a lot of standard sports anime tropes, and does a decent job with them. Looks great, sounds pretty good, has an interesting enough character arc, but nothing special.
Gotcha.
I gotta watch Run with the Wind. I heard really good stuff about that.
It's so good. We all praised it a lot on this podcast too.
I think both Kane and DJ put it on their top 10 list for 2 years because it spanned like fall to winter.
It was so good.
Nice.
It's like another one of those every single character is important things.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that.
Nice.
What else do we want to talk about?
What else did Kane have? Was that his last one, or?
No, he had one more for Aharen-san, which I dropped and Brandon watched, so I can talk about that. So he said, the show grew on me over time. By the way, his ranking, he ranked stuff. Isn't that exciting?
Whoa.
His ranking was Spy Family, then Aharen-san, then Birdie Wing. So for Aharen-san, he said, the show grew on me over time. I was rather enjoying it by season's end. I wish there were fewer jokes towards the end based off Raido's wild imagination about Aharen's activities. They are fun when spaced a little further apart and have some relevance to the actual actions, sometimes way too far off the mark.
I'll disagree with Kane on that end, because I think one of my favorite aspects of the show was Raido just thinking that any small thing that Aharen did was like some big, huge conspiracy, and he would just get like shut down immediately and be like, oh no, it's something much more normal, I guess. But yeah, this show for me was, I would put it in the category of lunchtime anime, where I wasn't extremely engaged with it, but it was something I would like throw on while I'm like eating lunch or I'm like between doing stuff, and it's just like a nice little like appetite quencher, just like very standard. Like it was pretty funny. The like romance bits were like pretty good. Nothing special all around, and it's very much pushing on a subgenre of anime that has gotten very popular recently with like Komi-san and this whole like, oh, there's this girl that like everyone's interested in, but it's just like she's really quiet, or like there's some quirk about her that everyone's like, whoa, what's the deal with that? But
yeah, that is becoming a genre, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, it was a decent show, and it had a good rounded off payoff. I mean, it came nowhere near Kaguya-sama payoff levels, but I mean, it had a payoff, and I think that was good. I didn't expect that. I honestly expected the comedy part of rom-com to be more so the focus, but the ending surprised me a bit in that aspect.
Yeah, I definitely found it to be just kind of, telling the same joke every episode. And so halfway through, I was like, yeah, maybe it'll have something else up its sleeve, but I'm kind of bored. So I just dropped it.
Yeah, I was surprised by how well received it was, because it was always one of the like top, like our anime threads for it were always really highly praised and stuff. And I was like, I can see why people enjoy it. And it like hits all its elements well. It's just, like you said, it's kind of boring. It doesn't really keep my attention. I could not watch 2 episodes in a row. It was definitely, I had to space it out each week. But yeah, decent show.
Yeah, interesting. Looking at my own grades right now, I've got Kaguya-sama at A+, Komi-san at B+, and Aharen-san at C+.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I think that's fair.
Range of quality for sure.
Yeah. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the newest season of Legend of the Galactic Heroes, because I feel like nobody is watching the new adaptation, and I think that's unfair because I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who loves the original, I have issues with how this one is adapting things and changing things. But yeah, it's pretty good content that we're getting into now. I don't know. I guess the pacing is about the same. I just wish we got more than like 12 episodes at a time, because there's just so much to dig into, and having to wait. At least we just keep having them announced and coming out not too long after the previous seasons. We've already got season 4 on the way.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that will be more highly received and talked about once it's finished in however many years that'll take.
Yeah, hopefully they get enough seasons to get all the way through it.
What would you say are because I still haven't watched the OVA, but what would you say they're changing about it that you don't like so much?
I mean, I think plot-wise, also, I guess I should, be fair to it. It is a new adaptation of the novel series. It's not intending to be a remake of the OVA series, per se, which is, an important distinction when it's like, why do the characters look so different? Well, because they weren't necessarily drawn in the source material. So if you just ignore the previous adaptation, then it's fair for them to look totally different. But yeah, I think just, it's a different style, obviously 30 plus years later. So things are going to feel really different. The way it looks is kind of a big thing. I just feel like the old one had so much charm and character and care put into it. And this one just kind of looks like, shiny plastic Bishonen. And lots of CG and stuff. So, it just feels less, I don't know, like it has less humanity behind it.
That's fair.
And yeah, I guess the pacing is roughly the same, but just like some of the orders of events and how much time they dedicate to certain pieces versus others and character moments, some of them just feel a little less earned, a little less impactful as a result. And, I can totally see, like, if you have no experience with the property, just getting to see this story unfold would be really satisfying because it's, the first time you're seeing it, it's got a lot going on. And I think it will also be better once it is all out, or at least you can watch in bigger chunks because, it's a slow burn. So 12 episodes at a time, you don't always get through that much really valuable material. But yeah, I think once it's all said and done, if someone just sits down and watches the whole thing, especially if they have no preconceived notions or any knowledge of the prior adaptation, I think, yeah, it's a really strong story. It's not ruining anything about the underlying story. So, you can really only generate something good out of that baseline.
Yeah. Yeah, I was fine with the pacing of this season. Like you said, it's like pretty consistent overall, but I don't know. So there was something about this season in particular that was like slightly less appealing to me. I don't know if it was like the like battle tactics themselves didn't feel as like the ingenuity behind like what was going on didn't feel as like, because I mean the whole thing is like, oh, Yang is the magician, like the master, like he'll pull some crazy stunt that no one has ever seen before, and it just didn't really feel like that too much this season. But I did enjoy some of the highlights of the lesser known characters, like Julian becoming a soldier and like getting his stuff going, and more stuff from like the Galactic Empire, the like underlings getting their shine as they go into the big space death ball battle and stuff. But yeah, I thought it was overall like a good season. But yeah, it is one of those things where it's like, all right, now I gotta wait however long to like see more. So
yeah, it doesn't really lend itself to 12 episode seasons very well, because you can't necessarily come to like a good climactic finale in that kind of length of time.
Yeah,
I think 2 cores it would have been good, because that's kind like it was released, as an OVA, so it was volume by volume in Japan originally, so it doesn't really follow the same format. But if they just did 2 cores at a time, it would roughly follow the original release pattern, where it was like 28 episode chunks, 27, 28, because like the second season had a really impactful finale, which was, plot-wise the end of the first 28 episode chunk of the original OVA series. So if they did it in that size, I think the seasons would feel more well-rounded and fleshed out.
Yeah, I'm curious if I would even like it better in the movie format, because that's the other confusing thing about these releases, is that most of the time people don't know when the new seasons are coming because it's just like, oh, yeah, the movie happened already, but we're just going to like cut it up into seasons and then drop them. And then Crunchyroll won't even like advertise for it or tell you that it's in the new season. You just got to find it.
Because it doesn't start at the same time as the rest of the season, so it's just like, you know, in the last month of the previous season, you just suddenly get episode 1 of this new one. And then you look online and it's like, wait, does this season even exist? Because it's really just a movie trilogy. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. But, yeah, as someone who hasn't watched the OVA, I am enjoying it. But I do have to take a crack at the OG at some point.
Yeah, when the remake first started, I was like, damn, this kind of sucks. But then, as it went on, and especially since I rewatched the original around that same time, I was like, oh yeah, the first 12 episodes aren't that great anyway. You really gotta get into the second chunk of it, or, you know, the later teens to 20s to really get some great content out of it. And now that it's in that material, I'm like, yeah, all right, this is a good show. It's not a masterpiece, but it's a good show.
Yeah, I mean, it's at least breath of fresh air compared to most other, I don't know, like the space dramas just really aren't a thing anymore, so.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, you only get space operas in the 21st century when they're remaking something from the 20th century.
Yeah.
All right, so that covers all of your shows that you didn't drop. All of Kane's shows. Do you want to briefly talk about the one thing that you did drop, or move on to something else for our list?
We could move past it. Onipan was like a short that was like, I was interested because of the like like a Sakuga cut from the first episode, but like the rest of it was like a typical, just like, oh, what are they transforming with their Oni pants this episode? And like, I thought the voice acting was good, but I don't know. I got to an episode where the whole episode was like a big pun on Momotaro and like different parts of Japan. It's like, oh, the story of Momotaro is different in this region, and I was like, wow, this is the most boring shit I've ever seen. So I dropped it.
That sounds super
cool. Like the fact that it's a short and it still couldn't keep my attention, like just spoke a lot to the fact that I didn't need to bother keep watching it.
Honestly, I feel that way about most shorts, because I feel like with that length of time, you just can't actually deliver anything of value. And so even at, 2 to 5 minutes, it's still a waste of time because, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Except when they eventually release Inferno Cop Season 2, which I think is confirmed, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's Trigger.
That Trigger, though, so yeah, that's a whole different ballpark.
Like when you were talking earlier about, like, shows that give you a preview for the next season, but it never happens, like Panty and Stocking was what first came to my mind. And, like, the soundtrack to that show, which I fucking love.
Yeah.
The last track has, like, a hidden track at the end after 10 minutes of silence, where it's just the characters advertising season 2, or it's like Panty really enthusiastically talking about everything that's going to happen in season 2, and then Stocking just trying to like talk her down, being like, well, we can't say that, it's not actually confirmed yet, we don't have the rights to do anything about it. Yeah, Trigger's funny.
Yeah, I also thought there was something that happened that probably has delayed the production, because I think like the voice actor for Inferno Cop passed away, or like there was some like death that I was like, oh, that does not spell good for a potential sequel. So we'll see. Trigger's doing so many other things anyways, so it's I could not see Inferno Cop being that high of a priority. It probably doesn't make them any money.
I mean, but it's Trigger, though, so they don't care. They just shitpost half the time.
That's true. I think the Cyberpunk anime looks better than the game was, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm definitely, like, even though I have no attachment to the game or the original or anything, it's Imaishi, which is always intriguing.
I thought the game was neat.
I think I've heard the most positive things about that game and the most negative things about Elden Ring from DJ.
Yeah, sounds Fair. Okay. Cyberpunk was extremely broken, but it was still fun. Elden Ring was a little bit broken and slightly fun.
Okay.
That's fair.
To each their own. I put down Elden Ring for about like 2 months, but I started getting back into it recently, and I've been really sucked back into it. But I've played like all these games, so that's just par for the course.
It's got like one of the coolest worlds in any game, and really cool art design. But like every single FromSoft game has really cool art design.
Yeah,
I just don't think that makes for a fun game necessarily.
Yeah, definitely the boss battles are like not the highlight compared to some of the previous ones.
I killed every single boss in the game. I can't tell you the mechanics for like 95% of them. Just run in, kill it, and then you're done.
Yeah, I either get like roadblocked and I'm like, I'll come back later, or I show up to a boss and I like 3-shot it and I'm like, oh, I guess I should have fought you sooner.
All right, so that is everything that Kane and Brandon have watched.
Yeah.
What else do we want to talk about that DJ and or I watched?
Let's see. We both watched Dance Dance Danseur. That was my number 2 of the season. It was way down your list at number 8, it looks like.
Still a B though on Kestrel's.
And I remember I asked you earlier on in the season, because I don't think that you were enjoying it very much, what your biggest issues were with it, and I recall you saying that it was something like you just couldn't bring yourself to care about any of the other characters apart from the protagonist. Did that remain true up to the very end? Because I agreed with you at that point, but I think that by the end of the series I had, at least in terms of Luo, had grown to like him a lot more as a character once you like actually get into his background. And I think that the final action of the anime was really great for him.
Yeah, I agree. His character definitely grew by leaps and bounds after we recorded that episode. And that one episode, was it episode 5 maybe? Where they do the Swan Lake performance. That was a great episode.
Yeah, it was good.
That was definitely like the highlight of the series for me.
When he like jumps in the air and the fucking animation changes and he looks like a monster. Like, oh man, that shit was good.
Yeah, that was really well done. So yeah, I do care about his character a lot after that episode and what follows it. So I definitely like the series more than I did before. I guess I don't know where I was expecting it to go. I think with its 11 episodes or whatever for this season, it didn't go far enough for me to get like really invested.
That's fair.
Like it needs at least another core to get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's making good progress on building the characters, especially Luo. And I'm interested to see what happens next. But yeah, at this point, it's definitely too short for what it's trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really do hope we get more. I don't think anything's been confirmed as of yet, but like you said, it's not a lot gets done in the 11 episodes that it gets, and it kind of stops at like a heavy moment, but it's not really a moment that resolves anything for the like bigger story at hand. Like there's just like some big character growth that you get for both Junpei and Luo in the last episode, and after that it's just kind of it ends, and then it's like, okay, well, kind of need to know what happens after this to really formulate a final opinion on the show, because it kind of just it ends.
Right, it was a very abrupt ending.
Yeah. I did really like it though. I loved the animation. I wasn't a big fan of the like just the character art style in the beginning. They're really long and lanky, and their faces are weirdly detailed.
And the rings in their eyes.
Yeah. But that I kind of liked.
Really?
But I think for it being in anime, so not so focused, but entirely focused on ballet, having characters with exaggerated lanky features like that works to its advantage. And I kind of get it, but yeah, I need more of it, but what I did get, I like a lot, and I would absolutely watch whatever happens next. And I think that by the end of this year, Junpei and Luo will probably still be two of my favorite male main characters of the year. I just think that they were really strong, and I wasn't really expecting that out of this show when I went into it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. As the characters are introduced, it definitely doesn't really clue you into how much depth you'll get into their characters. So I want to see more of that. I want to care that much about all of the main characters. And
agreed.
Yeah, I think the visual style did put me off a bit, and I don't like their eyes. But
their eyes were cool. They're different.
Yeah, I definitely want more, and I bet, it would just get better as it went on.
Oh, definitely.
Did either of you watch Welcome to the Ballroom a few years ago?
I didn't finish it, but I watched the first 7 episodes.
How would you say it compares to that?
I got, and again, I didn't finish Welcome to the Ballroom, and I mentioned this after the first couple episodes of Dance 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 Sword came out, but it reminded me a lot of Welcome to the Ballroom in terms of tone, in terms of animation, and just in terms of the situations the main characters are in. And again, didn't finish it, but I'm sure it holds up. And yeah, Welcome to the Ballroom is a show that I definitely want to go back and watch because I liked everything that I saw of it. I think I just got really swamped with other stuff and I had to drop it for some reason.
Yeah, that show, I had read all of the manga that had been released when the show started. And so I, kind of went into it with high expectations because I really liked the manga. And I think I reviewed the whole show too. And it was it was a pretty decent adaptation. I think the artwork in the manga and how the creator uses panel layouts, they didn't really replicate as well in like the direction animation. I don't think it was quite as creative. And I think the music and dance animation could have been better for what kind of show it was. But I think, I don't know, maybe just because I'm so invested in those characters and kind of already had that bias towards them to begin with, I like that show a lot more. But again, that one had 24 episodes to flesh out its characters and its storyline. This one's only had 11 so far. Yeah. So I think it could reach those heights, at least of the anime adaptation of Ballroom. But I think the manga's a lot better anyway.
From what I remember, around when the finale of Ballroom was coming out, the creator of the manga got sick or something, and they had to delay it or whatever. And so I think the anime had an original ending. So I'm interested if it ever came back and wrapped up.
Yeah, the manga, I know there were years where we didn't get a volume because of that, and then we just got a volume in the past year or so. So I think it's back, and I don't think the manga has ended. So yeah, I can't remember exactly how the anime ended, but I don't remember it being a significant departure. I thought it was just kind of the end of an arc, but maybe I'm misremembering. That was 5 years ago. Jesus, that show was 5 years ago.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why I dropped it, because 5 years ago I was moving to Texas. That's what it was. It was that season.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, still haven't played Dance Dance by Fall Out Boy. The characters still haven't played Dance Dance Revolution once.
Wow.
0 out of 10.
That's messed up.
Yep. I was misled. All right. Anything else worth talking about from this season?
Kate was watching Daimon, wasn't she?
Yeah.
We could talk about that in her memory.
Sure.
I liked it a lot. I definitely liked it more as the series went on. I thought that it was pretty boring in the beginning, but by the end, I actually came around to caring about everybody. But the thing I liked about the anime more than anything else is that I think it's the most Kansai accent I've ever gotten out of one show. And I am all about that. Because fucking everyone in this show had a Kansai accent, and I loved it.
That's fun.
Brandon, yeah, it's the Japanese sweets show.
Okay.
Japanese sweets and guitars and surrogate parenthood.
Yeah, I like those like father-daughter shows, like the parent dynamic, but it's not actually like the real parent dynamic.
Which is like half of those father-daughter shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's heartwarming when done correctly, and I think that this was one of those cases where it was done correctly.
Yeah, it definitely didn't like hit me like some of those other shows have.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like, a pleasant little comfort watch.
There's no like single really poignant moment. It's just gradual closening of a relationship.
Yeah, I think in the middle there were a few episodes where I was like, this show's just kind of barely holding on.
Yeah.
Like they weren't really doing anything to progress the story or the characters or the relationships. And it was just kind of, giving us the same stuff we had gotten already. But I stuck around and I thought the back half, ramped it up a little bit and I cared more, and they definitely deepened the relationships. So that was good. The protagonist is still kind of annoying.
He's really annoying, but I didn't like him at first, and I liked him by the end. So I guess he kind of his idiocy won me over.
Yeah, like I feel empathetic and sympathetic for him, but I don't want to hang out with him.
Yeah, that's fair.
I want him to have a happy life and a happy surrogate daughter.
Please stay away from me.
I don't want to hang out with him. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a show that, like, I'll probably never think about again.
That's
but
fair.
Fine.
That's fair. I liked it while it was happening, though, and it got me more into Japanese confections, so that's cool.
Nice. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I went out and I bought, Costco had like a huge box of assorted Japanese treats, and I got them, and I like all of them, which is cool. Because I feel like the last time I tried like real Japanese confection, I wasn't a fan. But I guess my taste has changed, and hooray. And a lot of them had walnuts in them, and or no, not walnuts, chestnut, and like the chestnut manju were the thing that he was in the show, and so that was a fun treat, literally.
I gotta check out some wagashi shops in Little Tokyo. I keep forgetting.
Oh yeah, there are probably like some real ones over there.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of like Chinese bakeries over here, but no wagashi or anything.
If anything, they show maybe inspired enough people to buy those like Japanese candy boxes, those like monthly subscription boxes. Right. So if anything, that it accomplished that much.
I feel like it's not the same thing though. These are like artisan sweets.
Oh yeah,
it's very different from like candy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because like what was that show? Degashikashi.
That show was not the thing that existed.
Yeah, that was weird. But that was like all candy and snacks. This is like, and artisan booba. Traditional sweets, confections.
Really expensive shit.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's like that kind of reminds me of, did any of you watch it was live action, but I think it was based off of a manga, but it was Kentaro the Salaryman.
No.
That one was basically, it was a live action show where he's like a super straight edge salaryman, but his whole shtick is that he's secretly between doing like deliveries for his job. He'll like go to a sweet shop that's like a real location, and he'll just have like a food orgasm talking about the sweets at the shop and promoting the real life shop, which is pretty cool. But it was funny. It's about as close as like a live action show could get to being an anime. But yeah, it was fun.
I can't really imagine that food orgasm trope in live action.
Yeah.
They pull it off pretty well, I will say.
He just rips his clothes off.
Basically. Yeah, they basically like 3D animated. He'd eat like sweet beans, and then his like head would turn into a bean, and he'd get like drenched in syrup. It was pretty crazy.
That sounds
That's
horrible.
So Japanese.
It's a good time, trust me.
I love when people just pour syrup all over me.
You'd be surprised.
Kestrel,
Yeah.
why did you drop a couple of cuckoos?
I mean, it was just sort of becoming a generic harem show, and like I was cool with it becoming or being a generic romance show, but the more that it just kind of started sinking into the tired tropes of like, all right, his crush is also gonna like him, and his sister, who's not a sister, is also gonna like him, and it's okay because she's not a sister, but it's also kind of taboo because she's kind of a sister. And that dynamic that was starting to form and was pretty clearly the direction it was going, it was just kind of like not what I was into. And I feel like, even without that, its premise, like a lot of these we've been talking about, had kind of been used up after a few episodes. We got, what made this story different out of the way, and then it just started turning into the same tropes that you'd expect from any show like that. So, yeah.
I agree completely. I just wanted to hear it from you.
Just affirm those beliefs.
I don't know if I will follow through with it as well, and it's a 2-core show, which is wild to me. But yeah, it's really generic, and I absolutely hate the like highlighted lip anime style. And I have never liked it. And if you have pronounced lips in an anime, I'm probably gonna drop you because it just doesn't look right to me. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird that it's so off-putting, right? Because like
they're just
people
lips.
have lips you can see. Like that's just more realistic.
Yeah, not an anime. Get it away. You're making them like one step too human at that point. So. Like you become less of a cartoon once I can see your lips.
Yeah, I didn't mind that as much. I thought it looked fine. And I think, it kind of made sense for like the female characters who were obviously wearing lots of makeup and lipstick. Like, yeah, you could definitely see their lips, but they were a little too big and shiny, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm glad we're on the same page on that show anyway.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I just wanted to confirm that you dropped it for the reasons I expected you dropped it for.
Yep, makes sense.
I guess I have one final thing to say about this season as a whole, and that it is Love Live Nijigasaki. Still good, not nearly as good as the first season. I feel like adding the extra 3 characters was unnecessary. And I feel like it's even more unnecessary that they're adding 4 new characters to Love Live Superstar. So,
are they? Jeez.
Yep, they're making it like that was Love Live Superstar's thing. It was like there's only 5 girls this time. The formula's different, and it was like cool. We succeeded because the formula's different. Let's make it the same thing again.
Oof! Wow.
Yeah.
Was the music good at least?
Kind of depressing, but I mean, at least they have the money to make good-looking things now. So.
Yeah. Which they always did, and they especially did after like 1 core of the first season. They just didn't use it
to
until
not use it.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the first season worked because it was kind of like episodic, just spending an episode on each character.
Yeah.
And each of their character arcs were pretty good self-contained stories. But yeah, now adding more characters and making it more of like the traditional Love Live group dynamic and subgroup dynamic I don't know. I don't know if I like it more or less. I
like it less.
Yeah, I guess I still like it, which is more than I can say about the first two series at this point. But I think, every time a new Love Live comes out, I like it more at the beginning because something about it feels different. But after a while, it just becomes kind of the same old idol show. And 13 main characters is too many main characters. And let's see, what are we at now? So we've averaged 9 idols per series. So that's 36 plus you is 37. They're adding 4 more to Superstar, then 41 main Love Live girls in anime by next month.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Man, there are more than like
girls.
40 girls in Idolmaster Cinderella girls. So
Jesus.
yeah,
Wow.
this is nothing compared to that.
Idols need to be stopped. I've said
No,
it
they
before.
don't.
I'll
Keep 'em
say it
coming.
again. This needs to be stopped. Yeah, it's fine. I always hope that I'll dislike it more than I do because I feel like I spend too much time. Like, what are we at? At the end of Superstar, I'll have watched like 100 episodes of Love Live. That's
Oof.
a problem.
Yeah, you don't watch any of like the bad idol shows. You like just watch Love Live pretty much. And there are plenty of idol shows to hate out there.
Oh, I know. I disappoint myself in that I like any of them because I really
You're
do
just
fucking
that
hate the
against
industry.
idols as a concept.
Huh?
You're just that against idols as a concept where you just inherently
Yeah.
go into shows involving them hoping to hate them.
Yeah, and like because when Nichigasaki first started, I was at the point where I was like, neither of those first 2 Love Live shows were that good. I really shouldn't spend any more time on Love Live. And then you got on the podcast and were like, yo, this new series is amazing. It's totally different. And so I watched the first episode and I was like, oh, God damn, it's pretty good.
I remember you telling me that you hated me after that.
I finally think
Yeah.
I'm out, and then DJ pulls me right back in.
Exactly.
I don't regret it at all because especially the first episode of Nijigasaki where you get Chase and Ayumu's song, it's like, oh, okay, this is fucking like the first time Setsuna shows up and like she sings and like the fire comes everywhere and you're like, oh man, this is a new thing. This is not Love Live anymore. And then it becomes Love Live again.
I really like the few times that I'm reminded that Setsuna is also like an otaku.
She is a huge otaku and it's even more apparent in the All-Stars game.
But yeah, I just all of these shows are ultimately just platforms for an extremely exploitative real life industry and mobile games, gacha games, which are inherently predatory towards people with addictive personalities. And
Present.
seeing the fakeness of the real life idols really rubs me the wrong way. So yeah, I hate everything that it stands for, but I still like the shows as self-contained stories. So that's kind of where my dilemma comes from.
And that is fair.
I'll stick to my idol with a twist shows like Zombieland Saga and whatnot.
It's a great one.
Just dip my toes,
I mean, every idol show has like a twist now. Like there are very few true idol shows anymore. There's always like one weird aspect to them. Like you get a 22/7 where they all have like a really intense trauma. So
I have been meaning to watch, I don't even know if it would be considered an idol show, but just based off what it looks like, review Starlight. I've heard
it
good stuff
is
about
not an idol show, but
Okay.
it may as well be. Also, I don't like it.
Oh.
I heard the movie was really good.
I also heard the movie was really good, and I heard the end of the anime was really good too, but I dropped it after 6 episodes.
Yeah, I dropped it after like 3, because I also didn't like it that much. but I have friends who are really into it, and yeah, I heard great things about the movie.
It's got a cult following. Like, there are people who are super into Revue Star. I tried playing the gacha game too, and it sucks. But there are plenty of people who are just like, it's the best. So good for them.
Yeah, I might go back and check it out at some point if like I still have High Dive and Sentai puts up the movie and I'm still hearing good things about it. I'll probably go back, finish the series, and watch the movie.
Watch it just for the fact that Kenjiro Tsuda voices a giraffe. So
that's a pretty good
true.
pull.
I forgot about that. Yep. All right, so that covers your top 6 shows. Covers basically all of my shows that weren't continuations, which I've already talked about plenty. So, anyone have anything else?
I don't think so.
I think I'm good.
Cool.
Nice. Right at the
Any
2-hour mark.
recommendations?
Yeah, but I have a question first about recommendations.
Okay.
And this is because the answer to this question will determine whether or not I recommend a certain thing. How do we feel about fan translations of visual novels? Like, not pirated copies, but patches that fans create for unlicensed properties. Do we consider that piracy?
Is the premise that you buy the Japanese release and then use this?
Yes.
All right. I think it's fair to recommend that someone import a Japanese product and then download a fan's work.
In that case, I recommend that everyone import the Japanese copy of White Album 2. You don't even have to import the copy. You can literally get the Japanese version of the game online, just download it, and then you can apply the fan patch over it. But that came out in December, entirely unbeknownst to me, and I have been binging the visual novel ever since. It is widely regarded as one of the best visual novels ever written, and I understand why. It is just so eloquently worded and poetic, and it's just a soap opera in every sense, and there's a bunch of shit that defies logic in the best way possible, and it's just a hyper drama love triangle that keeps ramping up until the very end, and it's extremely long, bunch of memorable characters, and I even like the anime. But yeah, get White Album 2. Just get the Japanese copy. It's like $50 online or something after conversion rates.
Yeah, I'm always so conflicted about visual novels because I find that I don't really like the medium, and all of the really well-regarded ones are so absurdly long.
Yep.
So to take the time out of the other shit that I'm, wasting my life on, to do that isn't a big motivator, but I feel like I need to experience like the greats of this medium that is the basis of so much anime.
Well, you experienced Love, which is like more than a lot of people can say, because that's fucking long as hell.
I went through all of Love because it has been, Alternative has been the highest rated visual novel forever, and it got a full official release. So I made it all the way through that, and I played all the way through Steins Gate twice if you count Elite. So those are the top 2. So if White Album 2 gets an official English release, it is currently number 3, closing chapter on
Is it 3? Okay, I thought it was 4.
I bet it jumped up a bunch of spots after that fan translation came out.
Probably. It's so good. It is so good, and the music's amazing, but it's like a music story. Right. So, and for anyone unaware, you don't have to have played White Album 1 first. It is very, very loosely related. Not necessary at all.
Yeah, spiritual successor, complete restart.
Honestly, you can even watch the White Album 2 anime to figure out if you'll like the visual novel or not, because the anime only covers the introductory chapter, and White Album 2 is separated into 3 different chapters. Introductory chapter is like 4 or 5 hours of content in the game itself.
Oh, wow.
And then, closing chapter is the bulk of it. But yeah, the anime is great because it is not adapting an absurd amount of material, and introductory chapter is kinetic anyway, so there are no choices that would alter the path.
Interesting.
And it's a really loyal adaptation, and the art of the anime is probably better than the art of the visual novel. That's really my biggest qualm with the game, is that a lot of the CGs are weirdly proportioned and not great. But like writing wise, it is absurd. So yeah, that's mine.
Speaking about VNs, I was eyeing Umineko because it's on sale on the Steam sale right now. And that, like, when you said, like, there are people that will praise these as, like, the highest forms of storytelling and stuff, but, like you said, it's like, yeah, I hear Umineko and Fata Morgana are amazing, but do I have the time to take care and take into those? I don't know. I don't think I do. But, like, I don't know. After watching enough seasons of Higurashi, I'm interested, but it's just such dedication. I don't know. There's too much other shit.
Umineko is another one that I've been, going back and forth on whether I should, because, that's number 4 on that list.
Yeah, that's a huge time sink.
I know, they all are. Like, Steins Gate was fine. Muv-Luv, absurd time sink. All of these high-rated ones, it's way too long.
Fata Morgana isn't that long. I think it's probably like 30 hours or something.
Okay, that's not too bad.
That's fair. For VN, that's fair.
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, I did like the White Album 2 anime, which I was not expecting because I did not like the White Album 1 anime.
It's a completely different thing.
Yeah, very different. Although I do like the song White Album, which is prominent in both.
So good, and obviously, well, not obviously because it's White Album 2, but it's a huge part of the second series, which you probably know since you watched the anime.
Yeah.
Like Beatles' White Album?
No.
Or
no.
Oh, I was like,
different White Album.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not what I was expecting.
I'm sure that was a point of reference for the title, but in the canon of the show, it refers to a white photo album.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think I only watched that show because the second one because I didn't realize that it was not a sequel. So I was originally going to be like, oh, White Album 1 fucking sucked. I'm not going to watch any more of this. But then I saw that the closing chapter was so highly rated on VNDB. And so that's the reason why I actually watched the adaptation. And I've been hoping for a closing chapter adaptation ever since then, because it would probably not be 70 hours long.
The thing,
but I
think the thing that sets apart closing chapter from a lot of the other just dramatic love triangle games is that it takes place like several years after high school is over, so everyone's like a working adult.
After story.
Yeah. It's literally White Album after story, but the first part of White Album's only like 4 or 5 hours, but it's like 4 or 5 really important hours that forever changes the lives of these 3 people, and it's like just them trying to get over what happens in the short time they spent together over the course of years, and that's what closing chapter is about. It's really good. The character writing's insane.
Yeah, I really wish they'd adapt that. I'm sure it's just because it's so long that they haven't.
Yeah.
But hey, we finally got Muv-Luv Alternative without its predecessors, and it sucked. So, anything's possible.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, VNDB added how long the things actually are.
Yes, cool. Yeah, they did. That's a great new feature.
Yeah, because it used to be just like longer than X number of hours, which everything was.
Yeah. Over 50 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I'm probably like, and I think the White Album counts wrong because I'm pretty sure that I'm already over it. Like I'm probably 70 to 80 hours into White Album 2. I'd estimate.
How do you have time for this?
Honestly, I don't know. I just stay up late, I guess. Like I'll normally do like an hour or 2 at night before I go to bed. And I've been playing it over the course of like a couple months. So
I guess, as long as you average a few hours a day, then
yeah. I haven't touched it in like a week because I've been busy, but I want to get back to it soon.
Yeah. Well, that's a good recommendation discussion, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It went more directions than I expected it to.
Yeah. I guess I don't have any recommendations outside of the shows we praise, like Kaguya and Spy Family. So I'll choose another one that's not anime related. But at the time of recording, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak comes out tomorrow, and I think Monster Hunter is an amazing game, so I recommend people buy that if they're into it, because it's probably going to be a really good expansion. And I'm going to be playing that. But, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything really since the last time we recorded that I have to recommend. So yeah, I will just double down on Kaguya-sama. Everyone should go watch it. If you have any interest in romance or comedy or drama in anime, it hits all of them really well. And I think it's got something for everyone, and it is worth it. If you think that it's going to just disappoint you and just keep teasing you forever with no commitment, it is not that. So watch that show.
Do it.
Also, the Fruits Basket movie was fine. It's one of those hilarious Rotten Tomatoes discrepancies where, let's see, let me get an update here. As of last night, it was at a, let's see, I've almost got it open. There we go. 33% critic rating
God.
and 95% audience score.
Was it like 2 critics were bad and 1 was good or something?
Basically, yeah. Two were good, 4 were bad.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But still, it's a very hilarious discrepancy to see. But yeah, it's as long as you, which I don't think it's playing in theaters anymore. I think last night was the last night it was playing. But whenever it comes out in another form, as long as you expect it to be a half an hour recap and then the rest of it be the prequel that was promised, it's all pretty good. And I think that's all we've got. So you can find Fandom Post Radio anywhere that you find podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Alexa, fandompost.com. You can get in contact with us on social media. Follow us, like our stuff, share it, ask questions, recommendations, anything like that. We are on Twitter and Facebook at Fandom Post Radio. You can also contact us via email, fandompostradio@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter at FullMetalKyoma. I don't really tweet ever, but
when you do,
have you given up?
Wait, what?
I say, but when you do, they bang. Apparently. Yes.
What, that one tweet?
Yeah.
Kestrel peaks and then just abandons Twitter.
Yeah, go out and find it. Yeah.
He conquered the platform.
Yeah, I've conquered the bird.
Yeah, I had one popular tweet a few months ago. That was neat. But I did just finish reviewing a little show called Kaguya-sama Season 3, so go read all my reviews for that. I feel like I didn't spend as much time as I should have on some of them, but hopefully the last one gets a little bit into my, I don't know, self-psychoanalyzing of why we enjoy certain aspects of these kind of torturous formulas, and how Kaguya-sama makes it work and also subverts the tropes and does everything right. That's me.
Cool. And you can find me on Twitter at DJ No Style. I tweet more often, mainly just things about my game, which you can find at lessonsandlovegame.com. And those are the places that you can find me.
Oh, hey, what did VNDB do to you?
Oh, okay. So this is fucking absurd, and it really upsets me that this is like actually a thing that happened. So apparently, so many people left good reviews for my game that they flagged them all as covert advertising. And bots. You can now no longer post a positive review of my game without it being flagged as advertisement.
Wow.
And I like reached out to them about this, and I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck is going on, but it is blatantly untrue. And they were just like, okay, thanks for clarifying. And they just never fucking did anything about it.
Eesh.
So that is a huge slap in the face, and I like don't even like going there anymore, because it's like being punished for too many people liking my game is not a thing I ever thought I'd have to deal with.
Damn.
And it's just so insulting that they would do that, because I've never seen that happen to any other game on there. And I just, it's disgusting.
Wow.
That's rough.
That does suck.
Well, on that note, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at HellshakeBrando. I tweet a bit. It's kind of all over the place. Sometimes anime, sometimes it's not. I just finished up reviewing Spy Family for Fandom Post, so go check those reviews out. Not sure if I'm going to be doing any of the seasonal shows next season, but I got some other fun articles up in the pipeline, so look forward to some of those sometime soon.
Nice. Well, we are getting Anime Expo this weekend and a new anime season this weekend, so we will have plenty to talk about whenever we return. Hopefully it will not be a month like it usually is between our episodes. But whenever we do, please join us. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.
Peace out.
Bye.